Hey YouTube, my name is Miasma and welcome back to another anime review. Tonight we're going to be doing a Patreon request. Um, if you don't know, I do have a Patreon, and one of the rewards on there is that you can suggest me manga and anime to talk about every month. Now, big thanks to Justin Chipman, one of my patrons, who recommended me, the same person that recommended me to read Frankenfran this month. And tonight I'm going to be talking about the anime that he wanted me to watch, and that would be Clannad. Now, Clannad is something that I know a lot of people love, and it's something that I had never ever seen before prior to this, not for 2 seconds, never. Um, and that's not that I was really like pushed away by it, but it's just something that just never came up. I always found just like other stuff to watch, and it just didn't. This is sort of a classic case of me judging a book by its cover here, because um, the art style doesn't necessarily seem that appealing to me. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I kind of looked at it. I saw the school uniforms, and I saw that it in my head it seems kind of like harem-y from a distance, and I wasn't really interested in the concept of that. And so, without really knowing anything, I kind of just judged it on that. And I'm here tonight to say that I was incorrect. Past Miasma, you were dumb, because this show is rather good, and I recommend that you watch it if you haven't yet. But I'm assuming a lot of you probably have, and I know this show is near and dear to a lot of people, and they're probably wondering, hey man, what's your thoughts on that? So basically, let's get into sort of if for the few people out there that haven't really seen the show, I'll give like a brief sort of synopsis, I suppose. So it's mainly about this teenage guy named Tomoya, and he is basically like a delinquent in his school at this present time. Um, he used to be this like basketball player and had seemingly a pretty good life until some years ago, or well, when he was a kid, his mother passed away in an accident, I believe like a car accident or something. And ever since then, his relationship with his father has pretty much broken down. His dad's a big drinker, and basically just treats him like a stranger. So he has this very shitty relationship at home, and kind of distances himself from people. And they eventually got into a dispute, and Tomoya ends up getting hurt in that fight and hurting his arm, and now he can no longer play basketball. So, like, sort of that one thing that really, really meant something to him in his life is kind of taken away from him, and that's where he is at currently at the beginning of the show. And right from the get go, episode 1, we meet Nagisa. Now, Nagisa is this girl in the middle here with like the antenna hair. I don't know why she has antenna hair, but her mom does too. And I think her dad might. But whatever. Forget me forget me getting distracted by antenna hair. But he meets this girl, and his life just begins to change. He meets her walking to school, and the show is really about him sort of getting to know her. She is a very sickly person, and so much so that she's actually having to repeat her last year of high school. And she really wants to restart the drama club in the school, a club that has since gone defunct because there's not that many people interested in it, but it's something that she really wants to do, and she's really passionate about it, and she's just like a really sweet girl overall, and so Tomoya wants to help her out. And the rest of the show is essentially delving into various other classmates of these characters, as well as Tomoya and Nagisa themselves. It's adapted from a visual novel, so you can kind of tell that, I'm assuming in the game, you could go down different character routes and discover more about them. The show delves into each one a little bit. I'd say a fair amount, where it's not like too uncomfortable. It's not too getting off of point, I don't think. I think that's something that the show did very well. But, you got a few classmates of the main characters, and they each get their screen time. But it still remembers its sort of core story here, which is Tomoya and Nagisa. And so basically, I don't really want to spoil too much about it because I really think that you should check out the show. So let's get into what I liked. This show overall, like I said, exceeded my expectations in a lot of ways. Um, it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be in a positive way. Generally, you say that sentence and before you start to sort of pick something apart. But in this case, I was relieved by the story and impressed by the story, mainly because it wasn't just this like stereotypical school show. Yes, it takes place in a school. Yes, it's about a club, but um, there's so much emotion here, and there's so much, I think, relatability to a lot of the situations that a lot of these characters are going through. That you don't necessarily have to, be in high school or even near that age or whatever to necessarily enjoy the show. Which I think a lot of shows that take place in this timeline of people's lives, as I'm getting older as an anime fan, I'm finding myself to be more and more detached from that. I don't really want to watch high schoolers anymore. I'm closer to 30 than I am 20, so it's just not something that I thought I would be into at first glance. But this show, like I said, exceeded my expectations. I ended up really liking basically all of the characters. For starters, it's Tomoya himself. I mentioned him a little bit in the synopsis. He's a super super interesting character in the sense that he doesn't like I like him a lot. He doesn't like to flatter people. He's but he's genuinely kind. He does try and do things for people as much as he can. He feels very human. He has a very human relationship with his father that I think a lot of people might be able to relate to. And he's experienced a lot of hardship in his life, and he's I mean, yeah, he's acting like a delinquent, but I would argue that he isn't really, I don't think he's fully like given up on his life. I feel like he's just at this point he's kind of going through the motions, but he was a teenager. Like, who of us wasn't sort of going through the motions at some point in their lives? And even in that, I would argue he isn't really doing that, because he's just he throughout the show he helps out pretty much every other character. So he does a lot of stuff for other people. Honestly, I'm gonna bring up a show that I really love, because I know a lot of people are passionate about this show and are passionate about Tomoya as a character. I like him a lot in similar fashion that I do Brandon Heat from Gungrave, in the sense that it's this person who does so much for other people. Like, they don't really have selfish actions, and it's something that I envy in another person in real life, and I like that aspect of Tomoya's character a lot. And he's snarky, he's funny at times. This show actually made me laugh, which a lot of like comedy anime don't make me do. But he has really funny dialogue, and just and you root for him. He's just overall a nice dude. I like him a lot. Like I said, I liked his relationship with his father and how that was sort of told. I like how he develops a relationship with a lot of the girls in this club. And my number one obviously is him and Nagisa, because that one is kind of the one that matters, at least to me. But yeah, he's a character that I really really enjoyed. As for the Clannad girls of the show, I like most of them. The show does some confusing things at times. We'll get into that in a bit. But if I had to pick one that really like stood out to me, and this is just sort of, I don't know how many people are going to agree with me on this, but I really like Fuko. And Fuko's arc is kind of short in the show. It's near the beginning, and it's they make like references to it like later on and stuff like that. But I like her as a character a lot. She's like, somebody's gonna be like, oh, you just like the lolly character. It's not true. It's not like that. But it's I find her so funny, and she's always constantly carving these starfish. And once you find out more about her, you realize why she's doing what she's doing. She has really, really funny scenes with Tomoya. when they're like pretend like boxing and stuff like that, and she has this like hurt hand, and he's like, your hand's actually hurt, and she's like, no, it's not, and he's like, well, what if I was a boxer, what if I were to throw a jab and you blocked it, and she's like, I'd be fine, and she goes to block it, and of course her hand hurts. But yeah, she just has really funny little cute moments like that I thought were really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's not like I dislike these characters at all. It's just the other ones I didn't find as interesting. One thing that I will note now is that I did not like how there's 3 female characters in this anime with purple hair. And it just, while they're very different personality-wise, 2 of them are sisters, and then another one is just also has purple hair, and she has her own like story arc kind of deal, Kotomi. And then it's just, I don't know. I feel like make your characters look a little more different. Like, I realize the personalities are really, really different. I didn't have a problem with that. Also, main character's name, Tomoya. This girl with the gray hair in the top left of that picture. Her name is Tomoyo? Or I might have those flipped, and I might have been calling the main character the wrong name this entire time. I keep doing that. Sorry. But their names are 1 letter off, and I found that really annoying. Nothing really on her as a character. She's pretty funny, and I like her story arc quite a bit, especially like Tomoyo's role in that arc. That was pretty cool. And then we got Nagisa, the best girl, I suppose you could say. The main girl here, she's just so sweet and kind, and she loves that Dango Dango song. She another person that wants to do good for other people, and that's why I think her and Tomoya are such a good match, and I'm really glad that two. Not only do we get one character with those those like aspects that I like, not only do we get one, we get 2 of them in one anime, and I thought that was really awesome. Like I said, it feels like a visual novel, but I think it played out the paths that like I would want to see. Would I play this as a game? Probably not. But I liked what I saw on the screen. Music-wise, this was really good and at the same time, because the background music is awesome. I wasn't that into the OP, and the ending, while catchy, it gets, I don't know, I got tired of it after like watching episode after episode. But that will definitely get caught in your head, the ending theme of Clannad Season 1. But yeah. And for this just being like the first season, pretty solid ending. Not 100% of stuff is necessarily going to be wrapped up. I knew that going in, but I mean, I feel like if you were watching this like weekly back in the day, I wouldn't be as super upset with how this ended, if that makes sense. And if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. I want to see After Story, and I'm sure I'm probably going to be reviewing After Story pretty soon. But if it just ended at season 1, I wouldn't be that disappointed. Now, let's get to the few nitpick kind of dislike things that I had. The art style. Like I said, it's just not my thing. I don't really like how everybody's eyes cover half the screen, and the weird antenna hair and I don't know. It's just not. It's not an ugly show. There are certainly uglier anime out there, especially in my opinion. Kill la Kill. Did he say that? Yes, I did. But it's an okay looking show. I was never amazed by the animation in the show itself. Now in the girl and the robot segments, they look really good. But in the actual show, I wasn't really into the character designs. I don't really like the school uniform. I think it looks kind of basic and lame. I don't know. I know that's probably a weird thing, excuse me, to nitpick. But I watched this in the English dub. Sorry. Some of the actors did really good performances. Lucy Christian and Hilary Hagg, I think both did a really good job. I can't remember the guy that does Tomoya. I like him. And Greg Ayers is in here. I'm a fan of Greg Ayers. If you're either, he's like a 50-50 kind of dude. But some of them just sounded either like they were just too old for the role, in my opinion, or they felt like really bored. Like there's this one like black hair girl that runs like a choir club, like a chorus club, and I swear to God, that person is probably an actor, and I'm sure they're professional at what they do. I think her name was like Rie or Rene or something. A show, whatever. Or Ray, and this character just sounded so bored, like with everything. She's like, "Oh, I think we should use melancholy music." Like legit. Like I don't know why she sounds like that, but I don't know. It pissed me off a little bit. Also, they pronounce some of the characters' names differently in the dub than they do in the sub. So if that's something that bothers you, maybe you just want to stick with the Japanese audio. Another sort of, this is gonna be my last kind of nitpick was, and maybe this will get fixed in a future season, but I would have liked to have seen other relationships panned out. Now I don't know how they would really fit this because it was a pretty nice compact story, but there are certain sort of ships that I made in my head. One really in particular that just didn't pan out. I don't really want to say what it is because I kind of don't want to spoil it. But there are two characters from early on that seemingly like fought each other all the time, yet fate kept pulling them back together. At least the determination of one character brought this character in front of the other very, very often. And I just think that they'd be a cool couple. And it's just something that I wanted to see. So it's not really like a negative on the show, but maybe some more time into some of the other characters would have been cool. But then I feel like I might be sitting here complaining how it feels super visual novel-y, and we're going down routes that I don't want to see. So that could happen, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't. So maybe that's too hard of a nitpick, but whatever. If I had to do like my stupid rating system that I have on Clannad, I would say at least give it a stream, because I know that there's probably a lot of people that don't that wouldn't be interested in sort of like romancy kind of stuff or school kind of stuff at all. However, I will say, if you don't think that you're going to be into school stuff, check this out, because it's not generic school stuff. It is. There's a whole lot of different stuff going on, and it's a lot of like unexpected stuff happens, and you'll have a lot of feels. I did not cry, but I came pretty close. I would tell you, YouTube, if I cried. I would be honest. Yeah, and so I'd recommend at least to stream it, if possible. And if you do really like it, go buy it. It's wicked expensive. I do not own it, so there you go. But enough of me. Let me know down below what you guys thought about Clannad, just season 1. Try to avoid spoilers on this, please. And if you have any similar recommendations, please let me know about those down below. Please check out my Patreon if you like what I'm doing here. Big thank you to Nia-chan and, of course, Justin Chipman for the kind donations this month. If you would like to have me for sure talk about something on the channel, you could check out my Patreon rewards. There's also a Discord channel. Yeah, check out my Sunday night podcast, The Sugoi Boys with Art of Anime and J Chip Show. It's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again to Justin Chipman for recommending me such a good show. That's all from me, guys. My name is Miasma, and I'm signing out. See you next time.